Welcome back. This is I Think You Should Buy podcast, running the numbers up, coming after that number one spot. Today's Tuesday, so we're on day 23. Today's day 23 of 75 hard, and the boys are buzzing. Both, you've gotten sick already. I feel like I just passed like the halfway mark on the sickness, but how you feeling? Tell me how your week's going so far. What's new? How's Hawaii? Let's get her going.
Yeah, dude. Where do I start? Yeah, I was sick. I was pretty down bad like the last week straight. And so having to work out twice a day and do all that during that was pretty brutal. I also, like I told you, like pulled a muscle in my back or something. So my back's been like, I can't like do more than like straighten it. Like I can't arch it. It's like getting a little bit better, but been beat up and not feeling too hot, but we're gritting through it. I mean, it wouldn't be 75 hard if you didn't have to deal with a little adversity. But you were kind of, talking smack to me, just wanting me to quit. So I'm just so happy that like you got sick too. So now you can deal with it the next couple of days. So
Yeah, it's horrible, dude. Like you said, doing two workouts while sick is like it's already a stretch to do one. So then trying to do back to back 45-minute sesh. And I think we've talked about this already, but the fact you have to wait 3 hours in between doesn't help at all. You can't just knock out an hour and a half workout. So that
yeah,
like removes that aspect of trying to make it a little easier. We just would need a little adversity thrown in the mix to just make it as hard as possible. I just hope this is the only time that I get sick throughout like the full 75 days.
yeah. Time will tell. I'm hoping I will too. And I feel like it's like it would have been like a couple days sickness, but it's like dragged out like over a week now, probably because of like
Yeah.
I'm like forcing my body to do stuff that it's not wanting to do or probably shouldn't be doing. But oh well, I mean, whatever. People don't care. We got to keep grinding through. So no excuses. So, but yeah, other than that, dude, works good. Got two contracts over the weekend. Both first time home buyers, and both getting massive seller credits, and one getting down payment assistance from the state too. So it's like half both homes are about a $500,000. So about $1 million over the weekend came in, which is great. And literally one of them is getting in total over $30,000 worth of credits between the state and the seller. So they're coming in with like, depending on which option they choose, if they want to buy down the rate or not, they're probably going to come in with a couple $1,000s out of pocket, which is just insane. And you just love to see deals like this and kind of like we talked about last week. I don't want to get like into all the same stuff, but it's like some of these deals that we're seeing right now are like incredible. And it's just like, I know they're not going to be here for that much longer. So I'm trying to like tell people, I'm like, this is happening right now. As soon as, these rates continue to keep dropping, everybody comes back. These are not, you're going to be wishing to get half as good as a deal as this. So it's super sweet to see because I don't think it's going to be around much longer. And I think these will be the glory days here in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for first time home buyers. Where were the contracts at? Like what states?
Yeah, they're both in Washington, actually. One's in Tacoma, and then one is in down like close to the Oregon Washington border.
Nice. I know
Yeah.
you've been doing you'd closed a couple loans, like I think in Kansas, and I think there was another state you just closed in. So I was curious to see if you're still all over, if you're Mr. Worldwide still, or if you're both in Washington on these two. But
Yeah, back to the homeland with these two. What about you? Because I know you've done quite a bit of business this year and stuff too. Are you pretty like Arizona focused? Or you kind of spread out, or what's your split? Would you say?
yeah, lately I would say the majority of my business has been in Arizona only. I closed one in Spokane, I think a couple months ago, but yeah, now that you say that, I think in 23 I did a lot more business outside of Arizona than compared to 2024. But most
Yeah,
of the time, it's either Arizona or Washington, and then some in Texas. And there's random ones like I'll have people from social media. But yeah, for the most part, it just seems easiest to get buyers where you live, and that's not always
yeah,
the case. And it depends on how you set up your business. But yeah, for the most part, it's just been AZ. The Valley of the
yeah.
Sun, the 110-degree summer that we're coming. It's
Yeah.
coming to an end. Uh,
Has it been pretty brutal?
and I feel like I go back and forth. Like I think I talked about that I enjoy the summer here. This year was different just because having Vincent, like I think we realized how nice it is to be able to go on walks and stuff. Because like when you're cooped into a house with a 8, 9, 10 month old, it's just not a lot to do. Especially the dogs too. Like Norman's getting on Nala level with chunkiness because we haven't been able to take him on walks. So like we're looking forward to having a little cooler weather. But the last couple of weeks it's been way better, and it's just part of living here. Like you get 8 months of just pristine weather, so it's worth it for those 3 months. You got a pool, so make it
Yeah.
work.
Have you been getting in the pool a good amount, would you say?
Probably once a week, like maybe once every 2 weeks, most part once a week. The hard part is we had like a crazy storm 2 nights ago, and the hardest part is the dogs because they love the pool, but Bree and I don't love drying them off. And so
Yeah.
like there's times where I'm like it was pouring rain and I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump in the pool. And then immediately I'm like, well actually, if I jump in the pool, the dog's gonna run outside. They're gonna get soaking wet. Even if they don't go in the pool because it's pouring rain. That
Yeah.
adds an extra like 15 to 20 minutes of like, and that's lazy, but that like stops us a lot of the time. It's like, all right, now we have to dry them off, and they're not easy dogs to dry. It's not like a lab where they just shake off and you throw
Yeah.
a towel on them. Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
curly, they get matted. So
Yeah, they're holding water for sure.
yeah,
I mean, I've seen Chungus in the pool. Like she'll just go for hours and hours on a loop. Is Norman still kind of a little like beta? Like just
dude, he is
well,
a beta. He hasn't got over it. It's like the weirdest thing because I've been pushing him into. He doesn't understand that the pool water isn't like it's not like a huge dog bowl to drink out of. So like he just like all he tries to do is eat the water when he's swimming in it, and then he
yeah.
just like gets it stuck in his mouth and it starts coughing over and over again. So it's a work in progress. He'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. His IQ levels are just like out of this world.
It's not good. It's not good at all. He's still a great dog, but it's not. He's not on the top of that list.
But what else is new? I mean, how? I guess we talked a little bit about like my business right now and stuff too. Like, I guess how's it going with you? Like, what are you seeing with buyers? And then we can veer off of some real estate. We've been heavy on real estate lately, but I'm just genuinely curious on kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I think and this goes back to what we've talked about a ton regarding I think you and I are going to be pretty specific in how we talk because it's most of the time it's going to be directed towards first time home buyers. But unfortunately, I think in our age, the media controls so much of the narrative of what the market looks like.
Yeah.
And whether we want to admit that or not, I think it's the truth because the reality is not a lot's changed. And I don't mean to say that in the sense that like rates have dropped. That's you and I know that like the media's
Yeah.
telling potential buyers that, but the difference in savings isn't astronomical, and it might not be what a lot of buyers want to hear. And again, I shouldn't say that so broadly because the reality is $200 can be a lot to somebody that might be on the fence. But
Yeah.
having these decline in rates is great for the market, but I don't necessarily think it's some huge astronomical change to where you're going to see your monthly payment that you were quoted maybe 2 3 months ago go from 3,500 a month now to 2,750 a month. You're not going to see that huge amount of savings. So it's pretty funny how big of an impact the media, social media, and then following like loan officers and real estate agents, anyone that's in the real estate community that reposts the same articles over and over again. I do it, you do it, we all do it, and then it shows those buyers. I think a lot of that has played into what you and I have talked about, which is more people reaching out,
Yeah.
which in turn, I mean, the last time I'm going to say it, but first time home buyers is going to have a huge impact. It's going to take a huge hit on them because pretty easy. It's basic econ 101, but you have a listing that's sitting on the market for 90 days, right? And it's getting no hits. And now the news and media is telling all these potential buyers, hey, rates have dropped. Now is a good time to buy. Everyone that's been sitting on the fence is going to go out and start looking. So that home that's been on the market for 90 days didn't have any offers. So if Kyle, if you were to go look at it and submit an offer, you'd have leverage to ask them to not only lower the price, but maybe kick you back some money to cover your closing costs. Where now there might be 10 buyers interested on that same property, and the one that offers the most is going to get that house. And typically, the first time home buyer is going to have the least amount of funds saved up to increase their budget, especially if the house you're looking at is at the top of your price point, right? You don't even have any room to go up.
Yeah.
And that's where we see these markets where the sellers hold all the leverage, where, like you said, the last 2 years, the buyers really got to hold the keys to the car and kind of control what was going to be next. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but it's the reality. And you and I don't know when that's going to turn, but it's starting to feel like it's coming sooner than later.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it hasn't fully yet, which is good. Like I
No,
just said, like with my people this weekend, like the deals are still definitely out there. But yeah, it's hard to say how long we have, but I would say a safe bet is probably the start of this next year. I could really see the frenzy picking up. So, I mean, the good news is for people, I mean, that's like what, 4 months probably of a window that I would say. And, who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer. Like January is typically, we've been doing this for several years now. I'd say over the past 5 years, a lot of leads will come in January. Like a lot of people will be coming back to the market, but they won't actually be going under contract until February, March. So you might even have a little bit longer, which is good. And I'm trying to just educate people as much as I can when we are talking now. Like, hey, yeah, boom, we got you pre-approved. It's your budget now. You can wait a year if you wanted to, but what you're able to get now versus what you're be able to get a year from now might be two very, very different things. So I think a lot of it falls back on, excuse me, my sickness is still coming out here. I thought I was getting better, but maybe not. So I think a lot of like you said, the media controls a lot of it. I think, part of our job description is like, even though it's not in the job description, is like telling people what's really going on, because a lot of the times the media, is not right or is misleading. Like you said, a lot of it's like, oh, rates are coming down, which they are. And like you said, to kind of push back a little bit on what you said, like, if someone saves $300 a month, like you're saying like, okay, well, it's not $800. It's not 35 down to 27 like we saw in the COVID years, but $300 a month in today's economy, is that's almost $4,000 a year over the course of a year. Like it's a fairly big difference, but just educating people like, yeah, rates are changing. This is about what it looks like. You might think it's this, but this is actually what it is. And then also, if you listen to the media for like the last, I think 15 years straight, it's saying we're at another bubble. Don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. If you would have
yeah,
listened over that time, you would have missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity. So a lot of our job is just like kind of keeping people straight and like, hey, this is what's being said. This is what I'm actually seeing, because the people that are doing the media in coming up with a lot of these stories and stats and whatnot, they're not in the business. They're not doing it every day. They don't even, they've never even bought a house, or they don't even know anything,
yeah,
about it other than seeing one thing and then reposting it or whatever it might be. So, being actually in the business day in, day out, and seeing like, well, oh, that's funny that you say this. Like, oh, you could never get a house, blah, blah, blah. We just helping somebody get a house for literally $2,000 out of their pocket, like
yeah.
a brand new remodeled $500,000 house in Tacoma. Like, it's definitely possible. So, I mean, that kind of falls under the job description too, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So my question to you is like, what does that conversation look like? Like, not to do like role play. When you have a first time home buyer that's coming to you and they're saying, give you an example is we'll say Bree and I, just going to make up some numbers here. Bree and I both bring in $70,000 a year, so we're looking at 140,000 in income. Maybe we're maxed out at $500,000 for our purchase price. We want to
Yeah.
keep our payment at around $2,800, but everything that we're looking at that we really like is at $3,250 a month. Like, what's that conversation look like, especially for someone that's coming to you and saying like, hey, we're not in a rush. Like, we think we're just going to wait it out or wait for rates to drop, or we'd like to look at maybe we want rates to drop so we can increase our purchase price, but there's so many variables, right? Like, we want to look at more, but we don't want our payment to go up. So how do you navigate those kind of conversations to like make sure, in that case, like Brie and I understand the pros of buying now, the cons of waiting, or flip flop, like the cons of buying now and then the pros of waiting?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's great to meet you, Nick and Bree. And congratulations on the great salaries and all of that. No, I mean, realistically, it's so hard to answer because everybody's so different. Like that could be your guys' situation. There could be another couple with the same exact salaries, looking at the same exact purchase price, but their goals are different. So what I would tell you versus them is completely different things. Like maybe for them, it's like, hey, you should wait a year. Or maybe to you guys, it's like, hey, we should buy something right now. Like it totally depends. It's like, A, what are your goals with the property? Like, are you, oh, okay, you guys have a kid, Vincent, great to meet you too, Vincent. You love the school districts, you want to be in this home for 10 years, then it's like, well, yeah, if you can afford it and you're not going to be, my big thing that I always tell people is like, I'm going to prove you to a number. That doesn't mean you need to go at that number. Typically, it's good to reel it back a little bit and reel it back to whatever you're comfortable at. Because the worst thing, buying a house, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always going to be scary. Like, we do this every day. It's still nerve wracking. Like when we buy houses or do our own mortgages and things like that. But the last thing you ever want to do is have like this, what should be really exciting, really proud, like all your hard work paying off, getting a home, and then be house poor and stressed. And like, you're like, we just got moved in. And then you look at each other and you're like, holy shit. Like, now we have to pay this payment and you can't even enjoy all like the fruits of your labor. So that's the big thing that I always kind of tell people first off is, I might approve you to $600K, but if you're comfortable at a $400,000 payment, then that's what you should do. And if that works good for a couple of years, then you can maybe look at trading up or whatever it might be. But to go back where I was going, if you guys are love the house, you're happy staying there for 10 years, then it's more likely it's like, if you're comfortable with the payment, you should pull the trigger, because if you're going to be in the house for 10 years, I'm having a really hard time believing that 10 years from now, you're not going to do really well on that investment. But if you're like, hey, Bree's actually looking at a job in Boston, we might be moving next year or, in 2 years, what do you think? Well, and then it's like, okay, well, given the situation here, you're going to need to exit this property in 2 years. The home prices might go up a little bit, but, you're trying to buy the rate down and you're not going to meet your break even point for 30 months instead of 24 or whatever it might be. That might be a different conversation. So it's kind of like a BS answer I'm giving you. It's like a no answer.
Yeah, it's like not the answer I wanted, but
yeah, but that's the truth though. It's really like, it totally depends on the couple, because some people their appetite for risk is different too. Like me, like you and me are pretty risky.
Risky.
We have the appetite for risk. We're willing to kind of make moves and things like that. Where some people, and there's no right or wrong, but some people are a little bit more risk averse, and they're they really need things to be, they need to feel really, really comfortable and not, if they were to do something like that, they'd just be stressed out. And, you can't really put a price on stress and your well-being. So it really just depends. That risk, your appetite for risk is another big part of it too.
The moving thing you touched on, I think, is a super good point. We can touch on that in a different episode, because we can kind of segue that or segment it out to go into different variables that play a part in making sure it's the right decision to buy a house. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's so many things that factor in. It's not a one size fits all, which is, I think it's an ongoing joke between loan officers where you get a call and somebody asks you, what's the rate? It's like, well, there's only 20 different compensating factors that's going to play a part in what your loan product and rate's going to be. So I can't really give you that answer, but yeah, it's all good information. Hopefully everyone that's watching consumes it and reaches out in case they have any questions specifically to me, but Kyle's also good at what he does too.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I love it. We're getting up on 20 minutes here. Should we do a quick buy and sell?
Yeah.
I can start us off at the sell.
Yeah. You got something cranked up?
Yeah, dude. I swear it's always right before we shoot a podcast, but dude, getting sunburned.
That's your sell this week?
Yeah, it's so brutal. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, I'm pretty red. It's gotten a little better. It's been a couple days, but dude, this is the second one in the last probably month where I just haven't bought I don't own sunscreen currently, and I just am such like
a sponsored by skin cancer.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it is actually, but Dude, I'm like a golden retriever when I get to the beach. Like I literally can't get out of the ocean. Once I get in, I'm just like, no. It's always my joke, 5 more waves. And then next thing I know, I come out and I look down and I'm like, oh my God.
Dude, the worst is hitting the shower after when your skin is just so red.
No, the real worst thing is going to jujitsu after, and people are, just grappling, people are grabbing you, cranking your neck and stuff like that. I'm just like, yeah, dude.
That's gotta hurt so bad.
It's terrible. But yeah, no, that's my sell of the week. Easy one is, wear your sunscreen, kids.
Are you gonna buy sunscreen now, or are you just gonna still say?
Well, I'm still waiting for Banana Boat to sponsor the pod, so I can Get
That could
Sunscreen.
be huge.
Yeah, this is all just a ploy to get the Banana Boat sponsorship.
So they're tuned in. My sell
Yeah.
is, it's kind of on the same topic along the lines of like, it's recent, but mine's 3 putts, dude. I played golf on Thursday and Friday last week with a couple of referral partners, and nothing is more frustrating than being a 29-year-old man with a putter in your hand hitting a ball on grass and do like not. It's just like the concept of golf already is kind of like funny to me, but the like putting like specifically to me is just so frustrating, especially when you 3 putt, because I was actually playing pretty decent, but didn't score that great just because of the fact that I could not putt. So that's just like for all my golfers out there, you feel my pain. But yeah, I just golf's such a frustrating game, and that I cannot stand putting. It pisses me off. That's my sell. It's kind of, I don't know. It's top of mind.
I mean, you said nothing's worse than 3 putt, but I mean, dare I say a 4 putt?
True. That'll ruin a round. Like that'll make you not want to play for a couple months.
Yeah, I just had to say technically a 4 putt is worse,
True.
but yeah. All right, what do you got for a buy? You got one off top?
No, I'll go back to you.
All right, dude. This is also top of mind due to the 75 hard. We got to like eat healthy, stuff like that. No real junk food. Dude, Greek yogurt, bro, is a savior for me. Like I get just the big tubs from Costco. It's just plain. There's like basically no sugar. There might be like a couple grams or something like that, but it's not like the sweet. Because, dude, sometimes you'll go all like the really good Greek yogurts. You look at the back, it's like 30 grams of sugar and shit like that.
Well, yeah, especially like the fruit flavored ones.
Yeah, which is I just get the plain and then I just put real fruit in it, and then I'll just do like a little drizzle of honey or something like that. Dude, I've been crushing that, and it's just the versatility, dude. You put Greek yogurt in a sauce instead of mayo, you get like a healthier, high protein sauce. Like, you could do that for like tacos or like
Well, yeah, that, and you don't have to eat mayo if you do that, which is a huge win.
yeah, which I mean, big mayo slander on this podcast in the past. So I'm just helping you out here too. You also use it for like the Greek stuff, like you can use that kind of as a sauce mixed with some other stuff, some herbs and whatnot. And then I've been doing the like Kodiak protein pancakes, which I've never. I mean, if it's up to me, I just have like the BS pancakes. They just taste like that aren't healthy. They're so
The crusties,
yeah, the
the
crusties.
Bisquick.
Crusties has been my go-to, and they're so much better. But what I've been doing with these ones, and I'll cap it here shortly because I know we're coming up on time. But I do the Kodiak, but I do milk and then eggs with it, which make them a little bit better and also higher protein. And then I take Greek yogurt instead of like whipped cream, and then do fruit on top with honey. Dude, it's unbelievable. And then you look at like the macros of the meal.
Excuse me.
God bless you. And I mean, you heard the Greek yogurt stat right there, and you're just like, you couldn't even pull it in. But
Exactly.
dude, you look at the macros of that. I'm eating pancakes with, like you look at it, it looks like a dessert, but it's like healthy. There's nothing really, bad going on. So,
Dude, you need to make your own cookbook. I feel like you could throw some stuff together that could be, or make an Instagram. Just start making posts like a healthy macro Instagram page.
I just need to mix it in with my current one. I'll just be like the cooking.
I love those Instagram pages. So like,
Yeah.
you got to follow here.
That's like half my feed.
Yeah, dude. Me and Bree and I do the Kodak or Kodiak. I always forget what it is, but we do those every morning too. But we got a waffle maker because it just takes half the work out of it. You just dump it in and then it's just ready.
Yeah.
But and I haven't done egg in the mix though. But we just do scrambled eggs on the side. It makes me feel like I'm eating more. So, but dude, my buy this week's, I don't want to say it's basic, but honestly, I just feel like the last couple of weeks I've ran into some good real estate agents on some of the contracts I've had. So my buy is just real estate agents that answer their damn phone when you call them. Like that to me is just like such a. I'm trying to figure out like something to like compare it to. It's just one of those things that sounds so basic, but the reality is like it's tough to get a good realtor to just pick up the phone when you call them. or even just respond like in a timely manner to a text. Because the reality is sometimes like we all sometimes are busy and can't answer the phone or we're on the other line. But that's mine is the agents, the unsung heroes that they pick up their phone or they text and say, hey, I'm on the other line, can I call you back? Goes a long way, especially in our job.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, I've had a contract. So for people that aren't in real estate, buyer goes under contract on a house. They're working with an agent to get that house, and then there's a listing agent that's selling the house. I've gone like 2 to 3 weeks after they got an accepted offer and not talked to the listing agent because they just didn't answer their phone. And then like a week before we close, they call like, "Hey, where are docs?" or "Hey, are we approved?" And I'm like, I've been sending you updates weekly in email along with calling you, and now you're reaching out. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but the ones that do answer it, and they're the most of the time they're the ones that are doing most of the deals anyways. But yeah, they're a blessing.
Love it. Yeah, dude. Like I said, preaching to the choir there. I can definitely relate, and that's why like I always try. I mean, try my best to be the same because I don't want people like realtors thinking that about me because it's frustrating. So I love it, dude. Well, we're at time. Should we cap this one and we'll see the people next week?
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Subscribe,
Like,
people.
subscribe.
Comment. Let us know what you want to hear. Peace.